Whoever believed that Jake Paul was going to win, that was an absolute fairy tale.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is over. Thank God. Thank God it's over. What a joke of a fight.
From the minute he got into that ring, to get on the back foot and just start running around, it was quite pathetic, honest with you.
There was never a world in which...
So this whole thing about Jake Paul taking down Anthony Joshua, yeah, that dream just got demolished by every boxing expert who watched him get absolutely destroyed. The pretty boy YouTuber experiment ended exactly how you'd expect when overconfidence crashes into legitimate heavyweight power.
He's an idiot. There is no reason.
If Anthony Joshua puts 10-ounce gloves on and gets in a boxing ring and Jake Paul is in the other corner, this won't last long. This will last as long as Josh wants it to last.
Look, nobody with half a brain cell should have been surprised by this outcome. We all watched Jake Paul cruise through boxing like he was collecting participation trophies for the past few years. Washed-up MMA fighters, ancient former champions way past their prime, even athletes whose closest relationship to punching involved dribbling basketballs. Same playbook every time. Big mouth, viral moments, carefully picked opponents, and endless chatter about revolutionizing the sport.
Jake Paul is concerned because that's not boxing. He was just trying to survive. And when you try to survive in a fight, then the other guy can't knock you out because you're not looking to win.
But then 2025 rolled around and reality showed up. Suddenly, Jake Paul found himself staring down Anthony Joshua, an actual former unified heavyweight champion with Olympic gold and battle scars from legitimate wars. This wasn't some carefully orchestrated mismatch anymore.
Dude's got balls to standing there with AJ, who had been off, so his chin is refreshed. He's ready to fight.
Joshua walked in carrying over 25 professional victories, multiple heavyweight championship reigns, and credentials that start with Olympic gold from London. Jake Paul brought 13 professional fights, 0 against legitimate heavyweight champions, and 0 experience dealing with world-class defensive pressure.
You get paid $90 million to...
The mismatch was painfully obvious from minute one. Joshua controlled every inch of that ring like someone who'd been doing this at the highest level for over a decade. He set traps, controlled the tempo, and watched Paul waste energy chasing opportunities that didn't exist. Sure, Jake talked big all week about knockouts and making statements. Joshua just showed up to handle business.
Joshua is trying to find him. As the fight goes longer, all those big actions, the shots, the big overhand rights, all those things are starting to fatigue.
Those opening rounds felt eerily quiet in that dangerous way heavyweight fights sometimes do. Joshua stayed patient, calculated, and completely composed. No rushing, no wild swings, just methodically shrinking the ring around Paul. Jake tried selling confidence to the cameras, but his footwork told the real story. Backing up constantly, resetting too late, always reacting instead of taking control. When that knockout finally came, it felt inevitable to anyone who'd been honest about this matchup from the start.
You know, you're going to get knocked out anyway, dude. Like, I was hoping I could say, you know what, because he earned the respect of boxing fans by going out on his shield. Guy just ran for his life. I just watched Jake Paul run for his life for like 5-6 rounds.
I try to be responsible. I've been in this game 50 years, so I know where not to step, where you could twist an ankle, or worse, you could break a leg.
Teddy Atlas didn't waste time sugarcoating his analysis afterward. His breakdown was brutal, but consistent with everything he'd predicted before the fight. Heavyweight fundamentals don't offer second chances. At lighter weight classes, fighters can survive mistakes and recover. At heavyweight, mistakes get you unconscious immediately. Atlas emphasized that when someone lacks elite defensive instincts, they're not just fighting their opponent anymore, they're fighting physics itself. Mass, leverage, timing, and brutal consequences. Jake Paul had never operated in that environment before this disaster.
I mean, this guy literally never tried to win a second of the fight. He was trying to throw a home run punch every once in a while. And notice every time he got in the clinch, he just went down. Like he just hugged Anthony Joshua and then like would go down and the referee would call it a slip and give him a break. And like he would just kill time that way.
Carl Froch went even harder, completely skipping any diplomatic approach. Froch reminded everyone that Paul had already lost to Tommy Fury, a cruiserweight who never even reached British title level. That loss alone showed experts exactly where the ceiling was. If Paul struggled there, jumping straight to a legitimate heavyweight champion wasn't ambitious. It was pure delusion. Froch stressed that boxing progression exists for serious reasons. You don't skip developmental levels in a sport specifically designed to punish shortcuts.
Even while I think a heavyweight has a chance in any fight, a puncher's chance, I don't think Jake Paul has anything for Anthony Joshua.
Do you respect him for taking it?
Yeah, you have to.
The physical statistics made the criticism even harsher. Analysts highlighted Joshua's massive 100-pound weight advantage on fight night, plus a reach differential exceeding 6 inches. That's not just trivia. That represents total control. Control of distance, control of exchanges, control of when violence happens.
He knocked him down twice. I thought the fight was going to be over because he was going to knock him down again.
Experts quickly demolished the typical puncher's chance argument. At heavyweight, that concept only applies when both fighters understand elite-level defense. When one fighter doesn't, the puncher's chance becomes the puncher's suicide mission.
Honestly, what do you want the guy to do? I mean, this guy ran for his life in a 22 by 22 foot ring. That ring was huge. That ring was huge.
The betting markets had been screaming this truth long before the opening bell. Joshua entered as an overwhelming favorite, with odds suggesting over 85% probability of victory. This wasn't disrespect or bias. This was cold mathematics. The numbers reflected what all the hype tried to disguise: experience, size, skill, and proven history actually matter. Loud social media confidence doesn't alter mathematical probabilities.
It looked like that was the moment he was going to throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm done, I'm injured, I'm hurt, I don't want to do that. But hats off to him, he got up and he kept fighting. We get to the 6th round and you can just tell that it's over.
Once that knockout landed, comparisons immediately flooded in to Joshua's 2024 destruction of Francis Ngannou, which ended inside 3 rounds. Ngannou had never been knocked unconscious before that encounter, not once in his entire combat career. Joshua handled him cleanly and efficiently. Experts noted that Joshua's right hand travels close to 40 miles per hour, elite velocity for a heavyweight carrying that much devastating mass. When that punch connects, professional careers get paused indefinitely.
In my life, I think my jaw is broken, by the way, so yeah. Let's go! It's definitely broke. But
the technical breakdown made Paul's situation look even worse. He failed adjusting to early feints. He walked directly into counterpunches instead of forcing messy inside exchanges. He reacted late and exited moving straight backward. Commentators universally agreed that if the same right hand that folded Ngannou had connected with Paul, no version of this fight ends any differently. That wasn't trash talk or exaggeration. That was basic human anatomy.
He could take those punches and they could really do no damage to him. It even boosted his confidence more. Because then he got even more reckless in his approach.
Johnny Nelson delivered maybe the most accurate line of the entire aftermath. He said Anthony Joshua doesn't participate in touch boxing at any competitive level. This wasn't an insult. This was pure technical observation. Joshua isn't the type of fighter who toys with opponents or holds back. When he commits to violence, he commits completely. Nelson emphasized that Joshua's entire fighting style revolves around establishing control, then delivering devastating damage. Regardless of opponent reputation, exhibition mentality simply doesn't exist in Joshua's ring behavior. Step in wearing 10-ounce gloves with him, you're accepting serious physical consequences.
You knew that Anthony Joshua was going to eventually land something that hurt Jake Paul. And you know how you know the boxing world wanted it to be brutal? Because Rosendo was sitting here and he goes, I hope he gets knocked out bad.
Even the business analysis didn't soften any criticism. Simon Jordan was particularly ruthless in his post-fight assessment. Jordan called the entire challenge completely absurd, regardless of massive financial benefits, making it crystal clear that money doesn't justify ignoring competitive reality. He acknowledged the commercial success, but completely separated it from legitimate sporting logic. His argument centered on maintaining competitive integrity.
Anthony Joshua, who's now 5 inches bigger than you, maybe more, or 4 or 5 inches, and about 100 pounds heavier. You just don't go from there right up to there.
A 2-time heavyweight champion with Olympic credentials isn't a marketing accessory. Treating him like one is exactly how people suffer permanent damage. Jordan's perspective carried weight because it came from someone who understands both sports media dynamics and professional ownership responsibilities. He wasn't offended by the spectacle itself, He was disgusted by the dangerous mismatch.
Punching heavyweight. And fake Paul's never been in with a heavyweight. Like I said earlier, he lost to Tommy Fury, a cruiserweight. He lost to him. Tommy Fury's not even British level. So you can't chuck fake Paul in with Anthony Joshua and take it serious.
What made the expert backlash even harsher was watching figures who had previously supported crossover boxing events start pulling back completely. Multiple fighters and commentators who once defended influencer boxing as legitimate pathways into the sport quietly admitted this fight exposed a permanent ceiling, not some temporary developmental limitation, a structural one that can't be overcome. The acknowledgement was subtle but widespread across the boxing community. You can market curiosity, you can sell novelty, but you cannot skip boxing's fundamental infrastructure and expect heavyweight physics to accommodate your social media following.
One of the biggest punchers, acclaimed, a lot of accolades, world champion heavyweight.
The statistical comparison made everything the critics were saying undeniable. Anthony Joshua entered professional boxing after an extensive amateur foundation, including over 150 amateur contests. That number matters enormously because amateur competition is where timing, defensive instincts, and survival reflexes get permanently programmed. Jake Paul entered professional boxing with zero amateur experience. Not a brief amateur run or limited amateur background. Absolutely none. That developmental gap doesn't close through confidence or expensive training camps. It closes through years of systematic progression. Joshua invested those years. Paul skipped them entirely.
What it needed to be tonight for this fight and for this fight. It was fun. It was crazy at times with the wrestling and all the grabbing and the clenching. The referee saying the fans didn't pay for this shit, all the dirty tags.
Joshua's professional credentials include multiple world title defenses across different championship reigns. He's completed full 12-round championship fights at elite pace against world-class opposition multiple times. Paul, by contrast, had never fought beyond 8 rounds at legitimate elite pace before this catastrophe. That difference isn't just academic theory. 8-round fights and 12-round championship fights are completely different sports, especially at heavyweight division. The physical and mental demands escalate dramatically after the 8th round. Fighters who haven't survived in that territory tend to reveal their limitations immediately.
He's the only one outside of Conor McGregor that could fight this level of fight at his experience.
Financially, the event confirmed what industry insiders already understood. Estimated purses ranging between $40 and $50 million for each participant reinforced that this was primarily a commercial spectacle designed to generate attention and massive revenue streams. Nobody disputes those business realities. But what those enormous numbers also demonstrated is that commercial success doesn't create competitive balance. Massive payday didn't make the matchup any closer to legitimate. It just made the inevitable consequences exponentially louder.